not because for hospital, because by able to give the medical expert for people with care and compassion. That's awesome. So, and of course, India is also known as more and more for all the ancient systems which they found to people that are happier life. But that's all true. I think that it's not able to say whether I would say from the heart of all families who are going to feel the benefit of this from their part. I'm saying the big of this of what is now by long people are this for the people of it. Speech from all this from the world. God bless you all. I love you all for what you've done. There's many, many more things. But I think this next 10 years, I'm not apologetic to predict when this COVID crisis will go, but I know very well it's not sorry. 10 cities are going to get huge crisis. I think because of the deaths, I am not going on for 20 billion for the world. And for India, about $4 billion. One time, of course, $4 billion. The finding is equally for then especially the way government uses it from 3 to 5% of GDP, and the private health insurance should go up to from 5 to 7%. So at least 10 to 12% of GDP would keep the nation healthy, safer, better, health for people. But that's all. I refuse to use the word generalization. I will take on my heart big appreciation of what we have. God bless you.
Thank you, Chairman sir. On behalf of everyone at Apollo Hospitals and the organizing team, I would first of all thank our respected Chairman sir for raising the occasion and continuously inspiring us in spite against NCDs. I would also like to thank Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, JP Ma'am, for motivating us to find novel ways, blending technology and clinical science and providing us the platform to build the solutions. My special thanks to Dr. Shiv sir for leading this clinical initiative and making this a success. Professor Rishi Sethi sir, Dr. Kerrick, Dr. Azhar, Mr. Daryl, thank you very much for relentlessly supporting and pursuing the goals of AI in cardiology. I would also like to thank all cardiologists and clinicians who have adopted this in our Apollo hospitals and are now using this on a day-to-day basis. I would also like to thank our operations, IT, and other teams to take it from there. And lastly, I would like to thank, most importantly, our members of press who are present with us to take this and disseminate this and communicate this to the community where we take it. I know that there are specific questions of how we access this tool, how we are going to do that, we will explain that. I will now request Sam to take over from here, and then we'll go into the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Joy. We have a couple of questions flowing in. We have Uma Sudhi from NTTV. Uma, would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, please. Thank you. Congratulations on this great tool, which sounds very, very useful considering we are always reporting about younger populations actually becoming victim to this. But two things: can an individual actually walk in and get their profile done? How affordable will it be for them? Is this not going to be limited to the Apollo doctors will be using this tool? And second, when companies start using this, of course, medical information should be confidential, but will it become a profiling tool? That's something I worry about. That's a later question, but how affordable is it for individuals to walk in and get a profiling tool? And how frequently do they repeat something like this? We are talking about making a progression or regression, and you can monitor and make lifestyle changes.
Uma, I will start with the answers and then hand over to Dr. Shivkumar. So to begin with, you must have heard Chairman say that he is dedicating it to doctors all over the world who are treating Indian or Asian patients. So we have done 2 years of Apollo doctors working on this. used. For the next 365 days, we don't charge the doctors. Within the whole ecosystem, we are doing a very special thing that people can step in, and for just 200 rupees, they can go through the tool and have the tool administered by a doctor and have counseling about their risk. So this is a screening and a counseling tool, not a profiling tool. The last part of the subsequent to this, we're hoping in the next 3 to 6 months, we will then put this on 24/7 for public to use themselves. But now we still believe we would like a doctor to administer it. As soon as it's ready, we will then put it in the hands of all the public. The frequency of use, I will hand back to Dr. Shivkumar for his advice. Dr. Shiv, how frequently should people use this? And please note that to other general doctors, Apollo will not be charging doctors for the use of the tool. So if the doctor wants to charge for his time, he will be setting that time period. So the doctors who want to use the street can offer it to public completely free. Those who want to add their consultation charges, that's for the patients to decide. And we do look forward to this being picked up by a large number of people who want to offer this. So if the government wants to take this up as a free stream, Apollo will be happy to share that as well.
So basically, adding on to the man's reply, that those who are falling into moderate and high risk, we would advise that next 4 to 6 months would be the best time to repeat again, because the lifestyle, those 3 modifiable risk factors where on which the physicians can work upon, and even the patients also, the subjects can also do some the lifestyle changes, and probably the results of it can be reviewed again in the span of 4 to 6 months. So probably that could be a continuous cycle over a period of time. We'll see whether they are going into they are able to correct the risk scores as well, or is it deteriorating?
Just one other question if I'm allowed. I think Dr. Shivkumar mentioned this, but are there unique Indian factors you're talking about? Because the other scores you said were about other populations, and the Indian population, would you want to talk about any of those unique Indian factors?
Yeah, they were actually, we had a pretty interesting the outcomes out of our study, and the 3 things which came out very prominently. One is the use of tobacco, because although we use in Western countries we usually smoking, but here we have seen that the tobacco chewing has become one of the biggest troubles in the Indian population, and that emerged out as one of the strong risk factors. Secondly, the diastolic blood pressure per se, isolated diastolic hypertension is also seen in our Indian population. And lately, of course, we are also considering into the psychological stress factors, which were not considered in many of the other traditional risk models. The psychological stress, physical inactivity, but primarily these 3 were the factors which have come up in Indian studies.
And when we talk about the younger people getting a cardiovascular incident, what is it about young India that this is?
Young India mostly it is basically the smoking and the physical inactivity, and of course the third is the dyslipidemia, which is again emerging. Of course, Rishi would be in a better position because they have done that study, fantastic study where they have been seeing that out of the 1,300 people below 40 years. So probably Rishi can add on that what exactly would be the population he has seen in terms of the younger.
I'm sorry, Dr. Shivkumar, after that a comment on the non-modifiable risk factors which are higher in India. But Dr. Rishi, over to you.
Yeah, so what we are saying, as Chairman Sir was also saying, that, and it's a widely accepted fact that Indians are getting cardiovascular disease and myocardial infarctions at a much younger age as compared to their Western counterparts. And when we see the prevalence of the 4 or 5 common risk factors for cardiovascular disease globally, that is diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and smoking, many of these young individuals are also devoid of these risk factors or have limited number of risk factors. So this is a confounding problem for Indian physicians and clinicians. Is why is it happening and can we do anything about it? So it will be very difficult to pinpoint what factor was responsible in which particular patient, and when you apply an AISTPD and you have a combination of 20 to 27 risk factors, many of which are unique to the Indian subcontinent and third world countries, then probably you have a better chance of picking up high-risk individuals who are younger in age group, but who still do have higher cardiovascular risk, which has been missed traditionally by conventional risk factors. So I believe applying them in younger individuals and younger Indians will probably be much more beneficial as compared to, it will be beneficial per se. So it has got a clear role in younger individuals.
Adding on the non-modifiable risk factors, as Ma'am stated rightly, that although we know the modifiable risk factors and we can work upon them, but unfortunately Indians per se are genetically prone, and we have usually the cognitive disease 10 years earlier than the Caucasian population. And not only that, the problem is that being probably the diabetic capital in the third world, the disease is diffuse and multivesical. So usually we are at a disadvantageous position from the genetic predisposition as such. So despite controlling the modifiable risk factor, one can still have the risk of getting a common disease because of the genetic predisposition.
Thank you, Doctor. We have Sandeep who has raised his hand. Sandeep, you can go ahead.
डॉक्टर सेठी सर से मेरा क्वेश्चन था, उन्होंने जो बताया कि लखनऊ में उन्होंने एक स्टडी की। हेलो तो जो स्टडी उन्होंने की है उनको दिखाया गया कि मतलब 10 से 15% जो पेशेंट हैं हर एज के, वो करीब जो है 40 साल के नीचे ना रहे हैं। तो वो मेरा सबसे क्वेश्चन है कि 40 साल से कम के लोगों में क्या हार्ट डिजीज ज़्यादा बढ़ा है आपके समय से?
ये फिनोमेना नया नहीं है, और वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में जनरली हार्ट अटैक्स देखे जाते हैं 50 इयर्स और 60 इयर्स की एज के बियॉन्ड। हमारे यहाँ लेस देन 50 इयर्स पे बहुत एमआईज आ रहे थे, हार्ट अटैक्स आ रहे थे। और लास्ट अगर हम 30 इयर्स और उससे पहले का भी शेयर देखें तो बहुत सारे पेशेंट्स हैं who are presenting with heart attacks in their 30s, and some of them are even presenting rare, but some of them are even presenting in their mid-20s to late 20s. So younger individuals में less than 40 years इंडिया में हार्ट अटैक्स मिलना कोई रेयर बात नहीं है। जितना लार्ज वॉल्यूम का हॉस्पिटल होता है, we see more and more patients. So जैसे हमारे अगर हम पेशेंट्स को अपनी प्रोफाइलिंग करें तो roughly 10 to 15% पेशेंट्स को हार्ट अटैक लेके हमारे बहुत लार्ज हॉस्पिटल है उसमें आते हैं। roughly 15 से 20 पेशेंट हार्ट अटैक के होते हैं, तो उसमें से 2 या 3 पेशेंट 40 ईयर्स से नीचे होते हैं, 10 to 15%. So it's a common known fact. ये है इंडिया।
Thank you, Doctor. Now we have Vasant from Hindu who has a question. Vasant, please go ahead.
He's having a problem with his mic, so you have to read it up first.
Sure. So, Dr. Shiv, I think this question is for you. It says, 32,000 patients' reports were analyzed and used to develop the model. If that's the correct understanding, will the model continue to learn from the reports of new patients going into the system? And if it is yes, then how will the data be captured for patients during the risk assessment? And later, in case of any coronary artery disease-related event, and how do we ensure privacy and data as a lot of personal information is captured?
Absolutely. We started with a 32,000 patients cohort, in which 7% were the positives and rest were the controls. And subsequently, of course, now as the machine learning, that's the beauty of the machine learning is that it keeps taking continuously a feedback loop. So whatever is the progressive prospective studies we are doing, it is adding on to our whole cohort, and then it's the machine is improvising itself and so that you can start delineating between the moderate and the low risk, moderate and high risk. And of course, as far as the the secrecy is concerned, it is completely secret, and the utmost care has been taken. They have given several firewalls and other things so that the patient data will never come out into the anonymization or whenever the reports are coming out. So it is completely secure in the various ways, right from which has been developed in Apollo, the central server.
If I may add to that, we have Dr. Karen here from Microsoft. One of the powerful things with Microsoft is actually to work with the data which is completely anonymized. Even working on what we found out while we were working on Fastbrick, that it is actually on an encrypted data set. So the privacy, security, confidentiality of the patient information is paramount to us, and we see to it that the data is completely anonymized before we go on to process them. And yes, as Shiv sir said, it is very important for us through the feedback loop to continuously, ingest the data from the prospective use and keep on improving the model, which is probably again a very important differentiator.
And if I can also just add on, so the AI model that is being built, I think the reason why we subjected to more data is one of course the accuracy of the model. But I think what becomes interesting as we go forward is the outliers. So you do see certain patients who probably don't conform, and I think that's where then the whole introspection begins, is to what does that outlier do and how do we kind of manage these outliers. So the model actually becomes better and also more heterogeneous. And the other thing is that technology now provides tools not just for data but also for images, where you're able to anonymize, but you're also able to de-identify. And this could be if your data is on cloud or even if it's on-prem, it can de-identify and move on for analytics and then get re-identified when it comes back into the hospital premise. So there are a lot of tools and techniques that are now available for you to totally anonymize. And lastly, if you just kind of search, you will see that there are large research data sets that are totally anonymized and freely available from various research hospitals that kind of put the data out there for people in GitHub and other places where you're free to kind of use that data set and make your own models as well. So that is where the world is leading to. And I think COVID is a classic example where we actually shared data of the genomic profile of patients